And that's actually precisely the same poster that we used 10 years ago. And that's why I've called this an update, right? So 10 years on, we may have reached critical mass. That's one of the big questions for me tonight. And I don't know what the answer is. Now, a little bit further down.
What? You don't know the bloody answer?
That's why you're here.
Me?
I'm sure we're going to follow. I'm sure we're going to follow with.
And if you would help to make everyone feel that you're next to them, please, so that we can create a community of love and light. And we thank our guides for all their selfless work and their patience with us over the generations and lives that we've had. And we've been like errant children. And above the guides are, of course, the elders. And we ask them also to cast an eye and a guiding hand on our joint community tonight and help me to produce this in a way that is offers growth and understanding of your plans. I'm going to give you a little bit of boring background, but it just gives me some credibility and as to why I have this stuff. Today's talk is what evidence have I heard over the years to support a purported change in Earth consciousness, often called an ascension. And I'm going to come at this not from a religious point of view, but from a science-based thing. Everyone is attracted to this type. Somebody's got their microphone on, so I'm getting back feedback. Everyone attracted to this type of subject is aware of predictions from many avatars and religious books and mediums that a change of consciousness has been predicted, and that these unusual weather, political, pandemic events are a portent of a destiny reset on the earth. My personal interest started because at the age of 13 or 14, I had a profound epiphany in bed.
And that'll affect us.
Correct. But we affect that as well. It's both ways. Humanity and Earth pull each other up.
If you can understand the skepticism at this level when you see so much insanity out there, so many greedy leaders, and
it had to be this way. It is the shedding.
We'll shed our old ways, yeah?
Correct.
And then into the next 2 years, we will start to...
It will settle.
We'll settle down and we'll feel this new urge to be more loving, creative, sharing. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, just correct me if I'm wrong.
Humanity won't know any other way of being.
With less violence?
Yes.
Less greed and more sharing?
Yes. More love. People will be less concerned about themselves and more of others.
I've spoken with other guides and elders in the past that nevertheless we need to diminish the population of the earth because to feed 7 billion people plus, etc., that many souls will not be returning to the earth. Does that concur with you?
Correct. It is the balancing out of the dark and the light.
I've had a few people picture a future Earth hypnosis talking about some parts of the Earth in the not too distant future, within say 100 years, that are so contaminated they will be unsafe to be there. Do you see that, or is that another time? Is that a timeline that's different now?
It was a possible timeline. It wasn't allowed.
It wasn't allowed. So, given freedom of choice, how can it not be allowed? If we humans choose to be stupid, how can you stop it?
it wouldn't have just affected Earth. If nuclear weapons had been allowed to be used, it would have affected much, much more.
As ripple effects will affect other parts of the other...
Correct.
All right, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, those of us who are expecting this ripple will change frequency rather quickly.
Yes.
Those that are not so awakened, will they be in conflict with the flip?
They have a choice. The choice to take the higher, the positive path, the higher resonance path, or not. Those who do not will continue their time but then not come back. The negative, polarized people will just leave.
To classrooms somewhere else, yeah?
Correct.
And so, therefore, are we now saying that nuclear holocaust is no longer viable? Is it off the table?
It's off the table.
It's off the table. Okay. And so this flip will happen around about December.
Yes.
It won't flip everyone, but the frequencies of the Earth will change, and that'll affect us, and therefore we'll reinvest that into Gaia and help that manifestation, this quickening, to take place both in the Earth and in many humans. That will affect the fence sitters, and then they will either choose to accept it and raise their frequencies and consciousness and become more joyful themselves.
Most have already chosen.
Mostly, okay.
Okay, so endeth the audios. I know they were long. I hope they were informative. Some are repeating, but I wanted to play quite a few to show you that it's coming from everywhere. And as I'm sure we all heard, I kept the announcement of an actual date until the very, very end, because over the years we're going from very nebulous sort of discussions about Earth changes to now we're right on the verge of it. And of course, I've been told by a couple of others, not just this client, that the pandemic is definitely dividing people, that some people are just coming into anger management problems, and others are actually using it for dissociating from the dramas. Not that we shouldn't be aware of what's happening outside, but spending more time with their family, with their animals, walking through nature. So especially those of us are lucky enough to be in Australia, where we have plenty of nature. I live in the Dandenongs, like many of us do. And around here, there are extraordinary places with kangaroos and ducks and everything that are so tame you can pet them. And I really feel that animals are getting closer to us, and trees. More of us are identifying with some of the earlier sessions about the elves and the lady who was coming from the plant thing, that we're starting to identify with plants more, and that we humans, as she called us, will be using and understanding the plants and the knowledge from the plants as medicine and all the rest of it, and uplifting us in so many ways. And hopefully, the more disastrous side of this change of consciousness is being alleviated by more and more of us manifesting with our mind, with our goodwill, speaking less about fear, speaking less. Every time we speak about fear or anger, we're bringing that vibration around us. So whenever, and that can be a habit of the mind. As a clinical hypnotherapist, I can tell you that some minds are stuck in concrete. They've got their fixed ideas and they will not change. We all need to change now. Many of us, we're already changing. Listening to this, we're already changing.